In my estimation, Ridley Scott's Gladiator is one of the best historical dramas ever made. When it came out in the year 2000, it was immediately hailed as a classic, and it made star Russell Crowe into a household name. In the 24 years since its release, it's often been imitated but never equaled. Now Ridley Scott himself is back for a lavish sequel, which is being rightly acclaimed as one of his best films in the last 20 or so years. So in this one, 16 years after the death of Maximus in the Colosseum, the now-grown Lucius, played by Paul Mescal, who was secretly the heir to the Roman Empire, finds himself enslaved and forced to fight in the Colosseum, as Rome crumbles under the leadership of two tyrannical brothers, Emperor Geta, played by Joseph Quinn, and Emperor Caracalla, played by Fred Hetchinger. While Gladiator II isn't the instant classic the original was, it's nonetheless a highly entertaining, faithful sequel jam-packed with action and spectacle. There really hasn't been a lavish, action-driven historical drama done on the scale of this in a long time, with Scott, despite his advancing age, as energetic and kinetic a director as ever. One thing that surprised me about Gladiator II is how directly it follows the original. Given the intervening years, one might have assumed Ridley Scott would have made it more of a standalone entry, but instead it demands that audiences be very familiar with the first film. The animated opening credits portray several of the original film's classic sequences in an effort to refresh the audience's memory, but Scott and writer David Scarpa clearly expect audience members, if they're seeing a sequel, to remember the original quite well. It would be interesting to watch these movies back to back, as Scott's really done his best to recapture the flavor and style of the first film. He even repurposes much of Hans Zimmer's original score, despite the composer himself opting to pass on composing duties to Harry Gregson Williams. This gives the film a nice sense of continuity, as does the fact that the movies also share the same DP, John Matheson, while some of the original cast members, including Connie Nielsen and Derek Jacobi, are back. One key difference between the two movies is that Gladiator II is less of a hero's journey for Paul Mescal's Lucius, with the film not anchored on him in the same way the original was on Crowe. He's more part of an ensemble here, with Lucius's journey from family man to slave to gladiator seeming like it takes place over a matter of months rather than the years Maximus toiled in the arena. Mescal's gotten himself into amazing shape here and really excels in the action scenes, with one hand-to-hand battle early on which takes place in the home of a Roman senator especially good. If anything, Gladiator II is even more action-heavy than the original, with Scott opting for wilder set pieces meant to evoke Rome's growing depravity. Mescal fights everything from rhinos to sharks to baboons this time, although the issue with the bigger set pieces is that Lucius starts to come off as almost a superhero, as opposed to the very mortal Maximus in the first film. Much of the movie focuses on Denzel Washington's Macrinus, a former slave who, over the course of the film, uses his wealth and power in a Machiavellian scheme to take over Rome. Washington, playing a rare villain, seems like he's having the time of his life as the constantly scheming Macrinus. Yet Washington never makes him a cartoon character, with him kind of the other side of the coin compared to Richard Harris's Marcus Aurelius from the first film, with the two sharing a vision for New Rome, even if the latter's happens to be more apocalyptic. Pedro Pascal also has a good role as the new husband of Nielsen's Lucilla, a sympathetic Roman general who, through a twist of fate, finds himself marked for death by Lucius, with their climatic battle in the arena being an inevitability. Pascal fits well into the period epic milieu and could easily lead a film like this on his own, with him doing a good job depicting the character's torn loyalties. Finally, Joseph Quinn and Fred Hetchinger have fun as the two depraved emperors who make Joaquin Phoenix's Commodus seem reasonable by comparison. While Gladiator II doesn't quite reach the instant classic status it aspires to, it's still a brilliantly made historical epic, with a superb ensemble cast and some amazing action. The 150-minute running time blazes by, perhaps a little too quickly, as I do hope there's a longer cut out there, and leaves the door open for a third film which might really do a nice job rounding out what could be a great trilogy about the fall of the Roman Empire. As it is, this is one of the most purely entertaining films of the year, and a must-see for fans of the original, and I give it a very strong 8 out of 10.